to yet another edition of the Field of 68 Best Show presented by our fine sponsor, BetRivers. Matt Cox here running point guard today. It is Spinny Saturdays. I did not get the memo. I am missing my beautiful spinny hat, but my hair is well done. It looks fine anyway. So 2 out of 3 participation.
You think
it does look
fine?
very nice. Okay. Yeah, with my 1080 camera, Jim, it's very crystal clear coming through the with the teleprompter right now. Guys, it's our first Saturday slate of the year, and I'm thankful that it's a relatively light one. Heavy day yesterday. The basketball gods threw us a pretty substantial slate to start us off on Tuesday. As we get into conference play, it'll heat up, but a manageable, I believe, 62 games on the slate today, Kai. Very excited about that. Yeah. But there is a lot to unpack from yesterday. For those of you who do not have a bedtime, you may have stayed up to watch the Villanova UCLA barn burner. I have a sneaky suspicion that's where we'll start our takeaways from last night. Jim, I'm going to you in the desert. You were closer to the action. Not that close, but closer to me and Kai in our Midwest pockets here. So thoughts, what'd you learn?
Well, I think both teams are really good from that game. That's what I learned. In general, I don't think either one's overrated. I think they both belong in the top 10. They both lived up to expectations. I was disappointed that it went to overtime as a Villanova +4 holder. I also lost an under in overtime earlier in the day. I don't like overtime. I'm going to say it right now. Not a fan of that free basketball.
Yeah, Jim, 6 overtimes yesterday. Kind of crazy. Yeah, that game was awesome. What a treat. I wish it was earlier than 10:30. That's a little past my bedtime, guys. I'll be honest. Villanova's better.
Come on, have a later bedtime on a Friday.
Villanova's better in my eyes. They controlled the game most of the way. I don't know how you take away UCLA's better from that game. If you're holding a UCLA ticket, don't think it was a good bet. It was the wrong side, folks.
Well, sour grapes.
I wasn't. I didn't bet on Villanova.
Kai wasn't on it, and
I wasn't on it.
Bitter than me.
No, I'm not bitter. I just, it's one of those games where,
here's what it is.
Deserve to cover the game.
It's residue frustration from the tournament last year when we all lost a lot of money fans UCLA.
Yeah.
So UCLA fans know that we don't like them, and they're relishing in this moment today. And you know what? That's fine. They have this moment. I think UCLA is awesome. I think Nova's awesome. And you guys said it.
Yeah.
So that's what I learned. Kai, any other notes?
13% win probability, down 4 under 2 minutes to play. So very, very tournament-esque there. Now, they're still awesome. I'll just stop it there. UCLA is awesome. I just think Villanova is still better.
Yeah, I agree. I'm starting to not really buy into, the shot quality was a big narrative last year with UCLA because they take a lot of mid-range, specifically Johnny Juzang. Doesn't exactly project as a sustainable skill. I think Juzang is just a special outlier shot maker at this point. Like if we want to nitpick at UCLA's overvalued case, that's not one anymore. Juzang's legit. They have a killer assassin type score with what he can do off the dribble. So very impressed with him.
He's completely like you can't quantify a guy who is making 100% from
right
range. Like he's unbelievable.
Yeah, we're starting. And the NBA has guys like that too, where they just debunk the mid-range thing. That's just where they butter their bread, as they say. My takeaways. I want to hold myself accountable. We're a very accountable organization here. North Carolina and Louisville, 2 teams that I put on pedestals to start the year. Wrong. The Tar Heels could not. UNC, I've ejected myself from the seat. I'm off the bandwagon. They played with their food with Loyola Maryland, who's not a good basketball team. And then Brown came in and hung 50 in the first half. What was it? It kind of reminded me when Brown went to San Diego State 2 years ago and just stunned the Aztecs in their building. It was a shell-shocked UNC team. I don't think this team can defend very well. And Louisville, Kai, lost in overtime to Furman.
Yeah.
Started with Southern game 1.
We
Chris
love
Mack.
We love the Dens.
I know we do. We shouldn't paint that as like a damning sign of Louisville without giving credit to our beloved Dens, but still a couple of tough starts there in the ACC.
That's kind of a general thing. ACC struggling, Virginia.
Right. Virginia. Exactly.
Pitt's not good. BC's been all right, but yeah, it doesn't look like it's surging back to the top of the conference rankings. That's for sure.
No, not at all. All right, let's get into the slate here. We'll hit the 8 biggest games, at least as we see them. Get to your chat mob questions. Please submit those to the group. Kai and Jim will be wrangling those. We'll hit those throughout the program. The YouTube channel. YouTube channel specifically would be great. Let's get to the main event. Heading out west. We're starting some West Coast games, and then we'll pivot back to the Midwest and East for the second half of the show here. Texas Gonzaga. A few people talking about this game. In no way flying under the radar. Back-to-back West Coast tilts. I feel like these are two of the last two contenders for a national title that we really haven't learned a lot about yet, Kai. We saw Texas blow the doors off Houston Baptist. Great, pat on the back, as you should have, I would say to that. Gonzaga did not cover against Dixie State in their first round game. They looked pretty impressive, and we just saw that same Dixie State team beat Southern Utah at home. So perhaps the Trailblazers are a feisty little bunch. Point being, Kai, we don't know anything about either of those two teams yet, do we?
No, we do not, Matthew. And 40-point spread. I'm not really going to hold it against Gonzaga. They didn't get there on that one. This is going to be fun. Texas is going to get tested immediately. Let's see how good they really are with all this talent they amassed, because they do have an incredible amount of talent on paper, more than Gonzaga. Just full stop, in my opinion. Deeper team, but I love Drew Timme. I love Chet Holmgren already. That is just a scary duo. I don't think anybody can stop Timme inside for Texas. And I know they have a lot of quote unquote depth up front. None of it's really good defensively, Jim. So I think Gonzaga has a clear advantage there, but Texas has the better guards. So it's kind of a 1-for-1 there. 7.5-point spread seems huge. It's actually about what I made it, which kind of shocked me as well. I'm staying full away and just enjoying this game. Hopefully we get another showdown like UCLA Nova.
Yeah, I'm staying away as well. I sort of disagree that Texas has the better guards. They have more proven guards, I think, is definitely where we can agree on that. I need to see a little more from Hickman, a little more from Salas at this point before I'm fully buying in. I think the Timme part is huge. You can't guard him one-on-one. We saw Christian Bishop entirely not be able to do that in the NCAA tournament. I don't think Trey Mitchell can guard him one-on-one. That's not his forte at all. So you basically have to double, which means, okay, Gonzaga ball movement's going to pick you apart, but you need shooting. They don't have your Corey Kispert. That's going to be completely lights out from deep unless Strother steps up into that role. So you need Strother to make shots. You need Bolton to make shots, even Nembhard make a couple, because I think Texas is really going to force them to beat them over the top. And I don't know if that's Gonzaga's strength. That's why I'm very intrigued by this game, because if Gonzaga does that against a team as talented as Texas, then it's like, okay, yep, clear number one. They belong up there. Pretty impressed. On the other end, Matt, I don't really know who guards Timmy Allen. I think big power wing is kind of a flaw in Gonzaga's roster, unless Strother is like legitimately great and steps up into that role. But they don't have the Corey Kispert, like built like a linebacker, guard multiple positions type guy this year. So I'm a little concerned there. It's very much a stay away from me at the spread. Like Kai, I am going to sit back and enjoy it, especially after I had it aside in the marquee game last night, and it was frustrating. I just want to enjoy. I want to smile during this game.
I agree. I'm with you. I'll be a spectator here for the most part. I was looking at an underplay. I see the market took that down a few points, opened at 151 down to 148. It does feel like the pace will play a little slower than some of the projections are indicating.
It's 150 at BetRivers, Matt.
150 BetRivers?
Yeah.
I may add that as a last second show play, best bet from the hip. I'm going to mull that over as we go later in the show. I don't want to force that right now. But Jim, to your point about Texas and the potential Timmy Allen matchup, I just don't feel like Timmy Allen's a guy that you want to play through as your alpha scorer. So I'm not as worried about that from the Zags perspective. But yeah, it's just there's a lot of guys for Texas, and I just don't have no idea how this rotation shakes out. I will say I was very impressed with Marcus Carr in that first game. 5 assists, seemed like he had good control of the offense. Wasn't like an awesome game, but it seems like that's his role. I like that Beard is giving him the keys to the offense. I think that bodes well for Texas down the road. Yep.
So it's set. Last note for me here. Timmy's defense was really like the talk of the national title game, and how he was sort of taken advantage of in ball screens. That's not really Texas's offense. Like Chris Beard is a motion guy, so I don't know if they're really going to take advantage of that, but I am still curious to see how Mark Few comes out game one against a real opponent. Are they going to play drop? Are they going to try to switch? Are they going to hedge hard? Does Chet Holmgren's shot blocking change how they want to do things? Like if you can have Holmgren at the back, then maybe you can switch a little bit, force him to drive and try to finish over Holmgren. I think that seems to work better, but very curious to see it, because I think in big games, that's going to be their weakness.
Yeah, and Texas got multiple forwards who can step out that are mobile enough to defend, hold on the perimeter too. So that sort of inside-out versatility is a little bit negated.
Disu might play, so that helps.
Yep, and Bishop can obviously move. One of my personal favorites. All right, let's keep going here. That's the headliner tonight. Sorry, we don't have any emphatic locks. I would lean under at the current number, but nothing on the side for any of us. It sounds like we're staying out west. Mid-major showdown. sort of. I guess it's a hybrid major versus a mid-major. Boise State going to UC Irvine. The Eaters playing host to the Broncos here. Jim, going to you here first. Just two teams that I think we're both relatively high on. Boise brings back a lot of the same cast from last season. They're athletic. They're deep. Rice has recruited plus athletes there for multiple years. They broke out last season. The question is this sustainable, or was that a function of their downtrodden Mountain West competition? I think Boise is sort of a team that we need to learn a lot about the first couple of weeks. Was last year for real, or was it sort of fraudulent and propped up by a cupcake schedule?
I think it's kind of sustainable. I mean, he's been like inside the top 100, he being Leon Rice at Boise, inside the top 100 at KenPom pretty consistently. They've got some real talent in their transfers from power conferences. And the Irvine young guards struggled with athleticism against New Mexico State in their opener. And Boise's got plenty of athleticism on the perimeter. I think they could give him some issues, but Kai, I think our boy Colin Welp is going to be an issue here. He's too mobile for Armush, the big Serbian, I think he's Serbian defender for Boise State, and he's probably too big for everybody else. So I think Welp can have a big game. No real lean on side or total here. I kind of liked Boise as an underdog, but I believe that they've been bet up to like -1.5. So nothing here.
Yeah, Boise -2 right now at BetRivers. Actually, that shifts my lean towards Irvine. I think these teams are pretty even overall. I don't think UC Irvine's performance against New Mexico State was really indicative of who they are. I still think they're a very, very good team. Yeah. I don't know if Marcus Shaver is playing for Boise today.
Expected to, okay. I think.
He's not an enormous needle mover, just another factor. Boise's win against Utah Valley was convincing. But that kind of depends on how much you give Utah Valley credit. I think they're very overrated. So I'm not putting a whole lot of stock in them. Both sides, well coached. Jim, you mentioned Rice. Obviously, Russell Turner is fantastic at Irvine. Again, I see these teams pretty even. Irvine's now catching 2 points. Yeah, I lean towards the Anteaters.
I do too. Kai at home.
I made it basically a pick, so I'm with you.
But no official show plays from us there. I know it's like right on the cut line for me. It feels like a good home spot after the opening round loss to a really good opponent. I think people are sleeping on New Mexico State. We'll get to them later in the show, by the way. It feels like a good spot for Irvine here, even though I am bullish on the Broncos long term. I have them, right up there with Nevada in my Mountain West ranking. So I think people are also kind of snoozing on them too. Again, we're staying west. Theme here for the early part of the show: Davidson at San Francisco. Very important note about this game. This game is actually going to be played at the Chase Center, downtown San Fran, to accommodate the GOAT Steph Curry, ushering in his former mentor, the Silver Fox, Bob McKillop, back to the Bay Area. But Kai, we like us some Dons, don't we? The San Francisco has been awesome. They've been great as a large favorite. They have depth. They have size this year, what a key ingredient they were missing last year. Damari Bouye, Khalil Shabazz, two electric guards in the backcourt. Not a lot of holes on this Dons roster. Pretty high on Davidson, though. What are you making of this matchup?
Yeah, San Francisco is awesome. But Davidson is not Prairie View. They're not LIU. They're legit. They're a very, very good team. They pounded Delaware. Delaware should be good this year in the Colonial, and Davidson just took them to the woodshed. San Fran, you're right, man. They have no weaknesses. They shored up their front court like crazy this offseason, getting Masowski from San Diego, the Squirrel. And also Patrick Tape from Duke/Columbia. I'm not sure Davidson can handle that, even if they have Brajkovic and Menenga. I still think advantage San Francisco there. But I just think Davidson's too well coached. They're too smart. They're going to try to control this tempo. San Fran's going to want to run. Davidson's going to slow it down with under Bob McKillop's half-court offense. I think it's too many points. It's down to 6.5 now at BetRivers. Probably a little past where I'd strike it. But I loved it at 7.5, Jim. That was kind of my number there.
Yeah, I'd like that 7. I just think that half point might matter. But yeah, I'm curious. Foster Loyer had a monster first game, 6 for 6 from deep, but now he's going against a couple demons in Bouye and Shabazz on the ball, where they can bother him a little bit more with athleticism and quickness, get under him. That's kind of an issue. It was his issue in power conference basketball. But I think Hyunjung Lee is a mismatch. He's a big scoring wing. He's really smart. The way he cuts off screens in that offense kind of embodies the McKillop system, where he's weaving around all the web of screens, and then he'll fade if you try to go over the top, or he'll curl it if you're following him. And he's so good. He's got a quick release, high release. I think that's going to be a little bit of an issue for San Francisco because their wing size isn't quite there. It's a little like what I said about Gonzaga, that they're just not that big on the wing. And so I think he can score.
I agree. I think it's the key weakness for the Don's roster, if there is one. I mean, this line opened at what, close to 9? It's been better. Sorry, 8.
It opened to 8. Yeah.
And now it's down to 6.5. That is a pretty big number, in my opinion. Davidson's a tough team to beat regardless, but it's an even tougher team to blow the doors off, especially with how well McKillop runs their offense. I'm very in on this sort of in the wake of Kellen Grady's departure, this Davidson team being undervalued, greater than the sum of their parts type of deal. I'm worried about the Dons. I actually think the Davidson money line play could have some value. Not many people. So I'm not going to go there, but I would lean Davidson at the current number. Should I go there? It's 6.5 at BetRivers right now, is it not? I'm looking at the right
That's
screen.
correct.
Yeah,
That's correct.
I'll take it. Add it to the best bets.
Yeah, worth noting again, it's at the Chase Center. If odds makers gave any home for this game, they shouldn't.
Which I believe they probably did.
Yeah, and
so
that's as well. So that's an advantage right there.
San Francisco War Memorial.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like 1 point of value right there, and that's just sort of thank you. So I'll take it. Bob McKillop, always a good coach to back. Last one here before we get to questions from the chat. USC at Temple, flying from west to east coast. Kai, that's with the jet stream. For those of you who aren't aware of how the jet stream works.
Thank you.
The Trojans, a team that we learned quickly last year was the real deal behind Evan Mobley, who's now dominating in the league. First year, Andy Enfield has to have a team without Onyeka Okongwu and Evan Mobley. They have Mobley's big brother, Isaiah, who could be the real deal as well, sort of a late bloomer. He's the best player on a deep, long, athletic, vintage USC DNA team. They look pretty impressive in their opener. What do you think? Do you think they blow the doors off Temple here on the road, or is it a tough travel spot going west to east?
I think they probably could. I do have a smaller play on Temple at like 7. I think it's down to 6 now on BetRivers. I don't know what makes you confident in Temple at +6, but I mean, if you strictly just ignore the teams and go for number, I think it probably favors Temple a little bit. It's going to be an ugly game. At least Temple's going to try to make it an ugly game. It's USC size versus Jim. In my opinion, Temple has the better guards in this game. And that's where they're going to have to win the battle. They were not impressive against Maryland Eastern Shore.
No, that
really worries me against USC, a team, by the way, who is kind of prone to blowing out bad teams or lesser teams or smaller teams. It's a total stay away from me on the show. I lean towards Temple at a slightly better number earlier.
Yeah, I'm also, my number wants me to take Temple, and I'm just like, I watched some of that Eastern Shore game and they
horrible,
look bad. They look so bad. I think the one thing that might intrigue me is the under. I think both defenses are much better than both offenses. That's the one thing Aaron McKee's shown an ability to teach at Temple so far is how to play decent defense. They could get overwhelmed inside. Like Mobley and Chavez Goodwin could eat them up in the paint, but I would lean towards the under. I think it'll be kind of slow. Maybe you get a sluggish start from USC because of the travel spot. So if I had to bet something here, it'd be the under. But that's all I got, Matthew.
It's funny. This is a pretty substantial travel, as you guys have both mentioned. I actually gave a little bit less for home because I didn't want to bet on Temple. I was just so disturbed by what I watched against Maryland Eastern Shore, especially with their front court dudes. Jake Forster, former IU transfer, a guy I was really high on. I don't know. He doesn't give me the warm and fuzzies, especially as he's about to go up against Mobley and those trees that the Trojans will boast. So
yeah, your brand is usually former IU transfers
are going to be awesome.
Thing.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm, it turns out I'm hypocritical in some cases. So no bet for me. I think the sharper money feels like it's going to be on Temple here, just given the high number. It's such a road spot, tough travel, but I don't want any appetite with that. So I'm staying away. Let's go to questions. A lot of games to get to. I'm sure folks are dying to look down the added and extra board. Who's going to take it away? Jim, is that you?
I got it. And it's going right back to you, Matt. Your boy is at Southern, the Jags, headed on the road to Tulane.
Yeah.
What do you think? Tricky
I like
defense
him.
for Tulane.
I like him. Southern's deep. They're going to have a bounce back year this year. Really good 2020. COVID injuries ruined them last year. I think people forget how much talent Sean Woods has accumulated. Tough spot for Tulane as a favorite. No, not a team I want to back there. I'm on Southern.
Big favorite. Yeah. And Southern nearly beat Louisville. Like they gave Louisville real problems in the opener. Kai, any opinion from a question from Matt Jensen? Gardner Webb at Arkansas here. We saw Arkansas struggle as a favorite in the first game, kind of keeping with the theme of their exhibitions where they struggled. Now they're hosting Gardner-Webb, 20 and a half point favorite. Does Gardner-Webb hang around again?
I lean towards them, Jim. It's always scary, like we talked about, I think, on a previous show this week. Going against Arkansas, they're just so prone to blowing teams out the way they play, the pace they play at, the depth they have. But Gardner-Webb's a feisty dog, as they showed in their first game. 21 points is a ton of points. I'm leaning
down to
towards
19 and a half at BetRivers.
Is it 19? Yeah. So I still lean towards the running Rebels just a little bit. The running Bulldogs, goodness.
Tim Kraft, great in non-con. And we saw Mercer slowed out Arkansas, played to a low possession game, which I think you need to do if you're trying to cover a big number against Pig Sooie. Gardner-Webb wants to run a little bit more. They are the running Bulldogs, aptly named, but I think Kraft's smart enough to not get into like a track meet with the Razorbacks.
Yep. Tim Kraft's been awesome as a dog. I think he's close to 60% since he took over at Gardner-Webb as an underdog. So that is certainly intriguing to me. We're going to holster this next one. Reggie Wertman asking about Omaha at Ball State. That will come up in our best bet section. So fear not, we will get to that. And Byron Glatz, Matt, asking about Montana headed across the country to Mississippi State. Do we think that the Grizz are going to be better in second halves this year? They were abysmal last season.
They love collapsing. They certainly do. These are two teams I really don't have any feel for. I was really high Mississippi State to start the year. I don't know. I'm still kind of feeling both teams out, Jim. Nothing for me. This is kind of a nothing game.
I kind of lean towards Montana, but it's just terrifying to me. They went to Georgia last year, and I think we're not able to cover. I don't remember what happened, but it feels similar to that one where they're kind of like a 10-ish point favorite, had to do an SEC school. I don't feel great about it, but I would lean towards the Grizz.
I'm just going to wait till Tolu Smith comes back before I start backing Mississippi State, I guess. So he's not back. I don't want really any part of that.
Yeah, there's a chance Rocket Watts plays, which, hey, maybe that helps.
Oh, that's your favorite. You love that.
Yeah. Chris Malicki asking about Central Michigan at DePaul, another one that will be holstered for bets. So expect that to come up towards the end.
They're picking out the good ones. They're detecting the winners.
Yeah, they are. We got an early tip here. Cal State Northridge at Notre Dame. Ethan Wright asking about this one. Matt, we were talking about this right before the show. This number feels really big, but I don't know. Northridge got destroyed by USC in game one. Notre Dame's offense could light them up. I'm close to taking the Matadors, but I'm scared.
Yeah, this number is lined like it's a putrid roster at Northridge. And while it was a tough effort against USC in the opener, I think USC's defense is a vice grip at times. The roster that Northridge boasts isn't that terrible. I'm tempted to take the Doors here, but I will officially stay away.
Anything for you, Kai?
Lean towards the Matadors. I don't think Trent Johnson's a good coach. So I think Gottfried's a better coach than he is. So I'd rather.
Have him. Wow.
I'd rather have him on the sidelines.
Take that bet. I don't know how we would ever settle it, but
I don't know.
Gottfried's not been bad at CSUN. I mean, on the court,
he hasn't been great either.
He got talent. He gets players.
CSUN's a tough place to win.
Yeah.
All right. Stay away though.
Another one that we will get to right after our chat section, UCF at Miami, Florida. So Joe Kidd, don't worry. We have that one coming right up shortly. Last one for the chat for now, before we get to chat again later. Mercer at Winthrop, coming from Austin Riley here. As mentioned, Mercer really strong in that first game at Arkansas. Matt, are they going to be able to hang around again against Winthrop with their coaching change, a little bit of roster turnover with no Vaudrin anymore? Yeah,
Winthrop, just a whole new. Well, presumably it's a new era. I mean, it is a new era, but the roster, the style should stay fairly similar. Mr. Prosser is stepping in for Mr. Kelsey. DJ Burns, I think, could be an absolute freak this year. I don't want to fade him at all. I think he could be like a potential NBA prospect with the way he balloons into just with how talented he's inside. I don't think Mercer's any answer for him. They don't.
He gets the baby Zach Randolph comparison.
Yes, exactly. So. And he's starting to make threes now, apparently. I think he destroys Mercer in this game. Just a brutal matchup for him.
Don't read those offseason reports about big guys making threes.
If you make 5 threes in a row, Jim, in one offseason clip, I believe. That's all it takes for me.
Ethan Hatt made threes in the offseason. It doesn't always.
He made threes at 3-on-3 too. That was bizarre. Never got that explained to me.
Jim, I think 5 is kind of a key number here. So it's 4.5 right now. I wanted Mercer at 5. 4.5. I wouldn't take it.
Staying away.
All right, Matt, back to the outline, a game that you are very intrigued by down in the Sunshine State.
Going to Florida, indeed. Miami, Florida, hosting UCF. And Jim, me and you both, I think Kai's been smart enough to stay on the sidelines of the Canes the last couple of years. I swear this is finally the year Jim Larinaga has the team that we think he has. Had a very impressive opening exhibition. I believe they started off. They did not blow the doors off. They should have put away who they played the first game. Their opponent, Canisius kind of stuck around a little bit. But again, we see a lot of these large dogs stay close. I'm not going to view that as an indictment on Miami, Kai. I just think they're healthy. They're deep this year. They actually have some big guy production up front. They're balanced. Isaiah Wong is a budding star. To me, this is the better team at what the odds makers are pricing at to equals with the 2.5 spread, implying that's just the home court. So you just do the math there. They're saying, hey, these two teams are the same, and I'm not buying that. I'm on the Canes.
Rivers -3, by the way, Matthew.
-3. That's fine. Still on.
I think UCF's better.
I do too.
Oh, come on.
I do too.
They are. I think they're better. Yeah, that's the long and short of it, and that's the short route. Miami does have some good players, but man, UCF's roster is stacked.
It's good. It's good.
They got everyone back too. They're big. They got talented guards. I think UCF's better. I'm staying away. Nothing for me here.
Yeah, the UCF length in the Robert Morris game was crazy.
It was daunting.
They get their hands on everything. It's just like a tip, a deflection, and then you're driving and you have to go against Mbake Jong at the rim. It's really tough. That Miami team, I just haven't seen anything out of them at the last 2 years. It's a little like SMU, where I think I'm kind of falling off the bandwagon a little bit. And I was just really impressed by UCF. Now, their offense, not great. They didn't even hit 70 against the team that Kentucky just put up 100 on. But I think the concerns are more with Miami here. I need them to prove it against a good team, whereas UCF, I think, is a little bit more settled right now.
Fair. I watched the UCF game in its entirety as well. They still don't play very smart. There's a lot of head-scratching shots. And Miami, I think, has a very substantial intelligence edge. Just, I think, the better coach team. And by the way, this is my bet.
I used to think so.
No, Charlie Moore will defer when he needs to. Just B- quality joke there. This is my best bet. There it is. I'm just really.
Wow.
I had to sort of collect myself after you guys both just stomped on it. But it is my best bet, Miami -3. So feel free to go with me or with my colleagues. I think the Canes are a good bet here.
I'm not taking UCF, to be clear. I think the line is correct. That's I'm not.
I applaud the odds makers.
I think it should be like 5.5, just for reference for those that care. Let's keep going. UTEP at New Mexico State, our next team on the outline. This is a rivalry, baby. The battle of I-10. Oh, these two teams hate each other. Oh, they hate each other. And UTEP under Rodney Terry was a little bit of an up and down roller coaster. Now Joe Golding steps into the helm, who did wonders at Abilene Christian, stunned Texas the NCAA tournament, parlay that hype into a pay grade coaching upgrade. Kai, he's got some talent down there. I think the Miners are a real sleeper in the CUSA. They're getting Sidney Boom back today. Sule Boom. Huge, very electric guard, dynamic player. But the Aggies are awesome. So where do you stand here?
Yeah, still probably a couple of injuries for New Mexico State. Super deep roster. They'll be okay. But yeah, like I said, it's a big rivalry game. I assume New Mexico State's home court will be jumping around because they had a pretty good home court against UC Irvine. That place was packed. You could feel the home court advantage there. Yeah, you're right. UTEP could be a sneaky team in Conference USA. I think it's going to be sort of a knockdown, drag out sort of fight this game. So the spread pretty big for that type of contest. I am leaning towards UTEP here. Sule Boom getting back is huge, and Jim. Joe Golding, we can't really emphasize how much of an upgrade that is at the coaching.
Yeah, this is a hard stay away for me, just because Boom has only been practicing for like a day or two. He just got back from his injury. And then the Golding thing, I know he's a massive upgrade, but I'm curious because this roster doesn't match at all what he had at Abilene Christian. There's no post-up threats. They played a ton through the post last year. And he doesn't have like the little gnats on the ball, the on-ball defender guys. So I don't know what his approach will be with it, which is why I kind of want to wait and see. New Mexico State, maybe a little bit more of a proven quality, but man, the coaching chess match is going to be great. Huge rivalry, like Kai said, great environment. So it's one I want to watch, but not one I'm ready to bet on, Matthew.
Jim, I'm eager to put all my chips in on the Joe Golding train. I think the spread should be closer to 5. I think it's an awfully high number for two teams that are familiar playing in this rivalry. I think there's a perceived strong home because of how ruckus the environment will be, but the travel is not substantial. And UTEP's roster is good enough. you're right. Maybe they're a work in progress. It's probably foolish to go against a team with such strong continuity. But I mean, I have a hard lean to UTEP. No official play, but I think that's a pretty good value there at 7.5, 7, depending on what book you're looking at. Let's keep going. Back to the Midwest. Ohio is for lovers, and we have two teams that will have no love lost today. Cleveland State hosting Ohio. Dwight Wilson, the big body up front for Ohio, he is presumably out again today. A big loss. Is that confirmed? Okay, yeah. So he is officially out. Jim, Cleveland State, we saw them go into BYU and give the Mormons, it was basically a trip to the dentist for BYU. That's basically what playing Cleveland State is like. Do you think their depth and trickery trips up the Bobcats here, or do you think the Bobcats are just too good?
I got a couple things here. So Cleveland State just plays hard like that. That is what they do. They are all over the place. They're really deep. They can go like 10 guys and just keep waves of players at you. And Mark Sears was awesome in his debut for Ohio as the starting point guard post Jason Preston. But there are so many little guards and strong wings that Dennis Gates can throw at him, which makes me concerned. I'm not sure he'll be as sharp. Kai, the question I have is, how do you handicap a revenge spot for a 40-0 run? Yeah. That's right. Ohio put a 40-0 run on Cleveland State last year, and it's everybody back from Cleveland State. So, they remember it. They're like, wow, that was the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to us. Is that like added juice, or is this team already playing so hard that the extra motivation doesn't matter?
Oh, I remember, Jim, because we were on Cleveland State, and that was the worst cover margin loss
of my broken. They haven't moved. Like what?
Yeah,
like not one foul, not one just bank 340
zip.
Yeah, 101-46. I think the final score was just a total beatdown. Cleveland State remembers that, and I guarantee you, Gates is going to be telling his players over and over again, and probably already has throughout the week of practice they've had. They're a pain, but Ohio's good, man, really good. You saw them against Belmont. Like you said, Sears, 27 points. And Jason Carter is the guy that people I think are forgetting about. He had 20 points against Belmont because he is a star at this level. He was a starter for Xavier last year or two. Maybe not quite a Big East caliber guy. He's a good role player at that level, but the MAC and the mid-major level, he is a star. So I don't think Wilson being out is as big of a deal as it showed against Belmont. It's a pace battle, Matt. Cleveland State wants to obviously grind it to a halt. Because of the 40-point loss thing, 50-point loss, I sort of lean towards Cleveland State because I'm scared to go against that revenge. But I think Ohio's a better team, and the line, I think, sort of favors Ohio.
Yeah, it's sitting at 1.5 minus, or Ohio's laying 1.5 currently. It pretty much opened at 2, so no strong dissenting opinions from the early overnight market. I tend to think Cleveland State's should be a small favorite in this regard. I think these two teams are in the same neck and neck. And I think that revenge factor is real. So I was also just very impressed with what the Vikings did in a tough place to play at BYU. Obviously, Ohio beating Belmont by a lot too is impressive. So both these teams, very good. Could be another put your feet up, get the popcorn, enjoy if you don't have any action. But I'm tempted to take the Vikings here. Last game here on the outline, Vermont at Maryland. Kai, speaking of teams that we were very impressed by.
Oh, yeah.
The Catamounts, despite being without their star player, the reigning America East Player of the Year in Ryan Davis, who is a game-time decision today, we are told, with a non-COVID illness, as we are now lumping all non-COVID illnesses into the same bucket. Didn't really need him against Northern Iowa, which is partly a function of Northern Iowa being in disarray, but I think just this Vermont team is the real deal.
Yeah, they are the real deal. And John Becker's game plan against Northern Iowa was exquisite. Every time Austin 5 touched the ball, he was getting doubled. As Jim astutely pointed out, it was doubling from diagonal, not same side of the ball. I mean, he was fantastic game planning for Ben Jacobson. Against Maryland, I think Ryan Davis matters a lot more. Obviously, Qudus Wahab is bigger than 5. He's huge. Yeah, Vermont can probably employ the same style, but Maryland's a better shooting team than Northern Iowa. They have a lot of weapons from the perimeter, especially Dante Scott, who can step out and play the 4. So I'm a little bit wary to bet Vermont without Ryan Davis. If he's in, I definitely lean towards the Catamounts at +11 right now at BetRivers.
Yeah, it's waiting to see because his presence is massive here. They just like cut up that UNI defense with cutting and like really intelligent ball movement. Basically got an open shot every time down the court, it felt like. And against Maryland, that's going to be a lot tougher. though the Terps have not been very sharp so far this year.
No.
Did not cover against Quinnipiac, barely pulled it out against George Washington, needed to step back Fats Russell 3 in the final minute to really feel comfortable about that one. So, man, I would definitely lean towards Vermont too. I think coaching edge big time. And if you get Ryan Davidson there, then 11 is going to be a really nice number.
Yeah. I'm same notes on Maryland, Jim. A little worried that this Maryland team is, I don't know, kind of get like the Mellow Trimble Maryland team vibes where they now have this sort of polarizing lead guy in Fats Russell who's starting to emerge. And I think they're going to win a lot of games, but they're going to have a lot of close calls, not strong at putting teams away. So yeah, when you're laying double digits or like 10.5 at BetRivers currently shows to Vermont, awfully enticing. I do think I kind of want to see Davis play. I'm partly believing that the Northern Iowa thing was just a complete shambles, and Vermont picked off a team that was in disarray there. So I'm not going to play until I know Davis is playing. But if he's in there, I might be inclined to hop in the last second before the tip. All right, that concludes the rundown in terms of scheduled games. Back to the chat for some quick hitters, Jim.
Gotcha. AJS has 2 questions. I'm going to give each of you one of them. Matt, you're getting NJIT at Lehigh. Does Lehigh keep rolling after nearly winning at Rutgers?
Yep, I think Lehigh's back this year. I've said it the last 2 years. I think this year they're finally back. Very impressed. And NJIT, bad. No Zach Cooks, not good.
Yeah, they really struggled. Lost at home to Merrimack in their first one. Could not score. So I would agree with you. Probably Lehigh would be the side. If anything, Kai, I actually like a side in this one. Curious what you think. Tennessee State at Norfolk State. Mm-hmm. What are you thinking?
Norfolk. That's what I'm leaning. Tennessee State looked brutal against Alabama A&M. I don't know if Shaquem Johnson is able to play today for Tennessee State.
I don't think he's back, but I'm not sure.
He's a huge piece of him. Also, Tennessee State is maybe the most frustrating team, let's say at the mid to low major level. And last year that's inclusive because they have a lot of talent in this roster. And I think they have a good coach in Penny Collins, but they have not shown it. They play stupid basketball. They go periods of time without scoring. It makes you so frustrated about this team. And Norfolk is fantastically coached by Robert Jones. It's Norfolk for me on the lead.
Yep, Shaquem Johnson. Sorry, I just want to underscore his importance. I think he was like a near player of the year candidate the last 3 weeks of the season. He was that good, and they need him back.
Yeah, I very much like Norfolk here. I'll make it a show play. Norfolk. What was I going to say? Nope, I forgot.
Minus 2.5, by the way, BetRivers, I believe.
I don't love that, but that's okay. As long as it's below 3, I'm still okay with it. Oh, a Tennessee State fan on their forum argued that they might be too talented.
Yeah, I
don't
hate my teams are too talented.
Yeah.
What do you do? Do you just like cut guys then?
Yeah.
We
got to stop taking these transfers. We got too much talent. All right, Matt. Evansville at Belmont. Evansville got blown out at Cincinnati in the opener. Might have lost Ryan Frederking. Frederking, excuse me, to an ankle injury. Belmont going to be a little angry after they got torched at Ohio. Do you think the Bruins go nuts here?
I just don't want to lay this many points against Evansville. Like the team that will just grab the ball, park in the corner, and hold it for 29 seconds for the entire game. It's just going to be low possessions. Tough for Belmont to get over the number. And Todd Licklider, I think he's a solid coach. That's probably a polarizing take. Many people may not agree with, but I think Evansville can keep it fairly respectable. I have no strong take here, though.
I give him less credit than you do. Cincinnati won by 22. I think Belmont can blow them out.
Yeah, I kind of think Belmont blows them out. I think it's similar to like Houston with the weird close call in the first game. West Virginia too.
Oh, okay.
I think they torch them like that. That would be.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The athleticism edge is too big. I don't think they're going to be able to handle the transition, drag screen type stuff that Belmont does. So I would be big lean to Belmont. I think both of you guys like this one. South Alabama headed to Wichita State. I know South Alabama has some injury concerns. Greg Parham from VMI and Lance Thomas from Memphis, both potentially not going to be in there for this one. They missed the season opener against a non-D1 opponent. What do you got, Kai?
Spread got crushed. It's down to 12. The opener is 14. I liked it way better there. I can't take 12. I guess I lean South Alabama, though, Matt. Wichita State almost lost to Jacksonville State. A good team, but still a little concerning.
Was not impressed with Wichita State. A lot of the same offensive lulls that we saw last year. A little too Etienne shot making reliant for my liking. And it's just a team that I think will play bad as a large favorite, which makes USA, South Alabama, a great underdog here. But as Kai mentioned, the line's gotten a little too low for me.
I kind of like the over. I think South Alabama's going to want to run. Richie Riley, when he has depth and talent, wants to run. Although the injuries sap that depth, which is an issue. So nothing strong. We mentioned Cincinnati. 82 Atlantic asked about them hosting Georgia. I am shocked I'm not on this game, guys, because I thought I was low on Georgia and high on Cincinnati, but I made the number right about what it is. I still kind of think Cincinnati smacks them in the mouth, Kai.
I don't want to bet on Georgia. I agree, Jim. I was surprised that odds makers made this game around 10. They're right. I think Cincy probably beats them.
Yeah.
It's too big for me. I might take Georgia, actually.
Good luck.
You like Georgia. You're a Georgia apologist.
I just don't think they're atrocious. I think they're really bad, just not abysmal. That's my Georgia take.
Matt, I think they're atrocious.
I know. I think most people do. I think that's a hot take. Saying Georgia's like really bad is a hot take this year. It's wild.
All right. HODL Savage says Florida Gulf Coast at Loyola Chicago. Was that first performance from Loyola Chicago an aberration offensively, or are they just going to be a machine? FGCU has a ton of transfer talent, but we're not really sold on Michael Fly, Matt.
Yeah, it's a huge number for a team that has this much talent, but I thought Coppin State had a lot of talent and Loyola just snapped them in half in no time. Loyola's just so deep. Even though they don't play very fast, they're going to continue to score efficiently when they're up 15, 20, 25, because the guys they bring in off the bench, the second wave, is not a big drop off, and they're looking to prove themselves and make a mark and make a dent in that rotation for conference play. So I get serious, like vintage Virginia, good as a large favorite vibes when they were at their best with this Loyola team, even under a new coach in Denzel Valentine. Drew Valentine.
They might get Clemens back today, which will help.
Yeah.
Keith Clemens did not play in the opener. Kai, Mount St. Mary's at St. Joe's. Question from Brian Curran. Mount got murdered in game one, but St. Joe's looked bad themselves. So do you think the Mount can hang around as a dog?
Feels too low, the spread, but I have no interest in betting on St. Joe's, and Mount St. Mary's can kind of make games ugly. They can stick with the number, too low for me to back them though.
Yeah, lean to the Mount for me. Matt, Patrick Baldwin Jr. is playing again today in Milwaukee. Cooper Smith wondering if they can get it done against Eastern Kentucky in this one.
No strong take here for me. I was considering fading Milwaukee in their first game, but they look pretty impressive. PBJ looked very good. They're not going to play all the way up to the talent level that they have just because they have so much talent, but I think they're going to make noise at the top of the horizon. In this matchup, I don't really have a good feel. Eastern Kentucky is still a mystery to me too.
Yeah, it's gone down. I think it opened 5.5, 6, and it's down at 4 at BetRivers. So I don't have a lot of interest. Number is the total is huge, indicating that this is going to be the track meet that many expect. But yeah, nothing for me. I'll take this one from Griffin Hatton. UIC at Valpo. I like UIC. I think Valpo is in trouble right now, and they did play fairly competitively with Toledo for most of that game before Toledo barely got the cover at the end. But I just think until Ben Krikke is back and fully healthy, that Valpo's got some issues, and the two D2 losses in preseason show that. And I think UIC is going to be feisty this year.
UIC does not have Travion Kirk this year. That's a good thing. And I like UIC.
Add by subtract.
Can I jump in real quick? My best bet's going to tip off in 2 minutes, guys.
Oh, give it. Go.
It's Ball State minus 10.5. That's my best bet. I haven't seen lineups for Omaha yet. I think they're going to have a ton of guys out. If they do, it could be a bloodbath. Ball State's not very good, so kind of just don't watch this game, but Ball State minus 10.5.
Kai, I'm trying to pull up the lineup.
Stat broadcast, control find.
It's not in there, unfortunately. Yeah. But yeah, Omaha's lineup's not popular, but they were missing potentially 4 of their best 5 players in their first exhibition game. So player availability matters, and they did not have a lot of it. So yeah, Ball State seems like a decent spot as long as some of those guys are out. All right. Do I have anyone tipping off soon? I don't think so. All right.
I was hoping we get some chat members to help you out with that lineup there, Kai. You got to put them to work a little bit. They can watch and observe, but let's get them going. Let's get them checking the lineups.
All right, couple more quick hitters. We're going to do a devil theme over the next 2. You're each getting a devil question. Kai, you're getting the Delta Devils. Luke Beasley asking about the Delta Devils headed to Cal Baptist. Do we get another massive blowout here?
Yeah, I have a small play on Cal Baptist. I'm gonna let this know. I'm gonna fade Mississippi Valley State every single game this year in non-conference, and I'm gonna wager that I'm gonna win more times than lose. That's my strategy this year.
I'm so sick of looking at your guys' bad sheets and seeing Mississippi Valley State in the fade column and me not doing that. So today I'm just like, I didn't even make a number. I just copied. I'm like, yep, I'll join. I'll tag along.
I'm very much, if they're playing a fast team with offensive potency.
Yeah, right.
And Kyle Baptist runs and will shoot.
And can shoot the crap out of it. Yes.
Yep. All right, Matt, your devil question is your own Blue Devils. Campbell hosting Duke. Campbell missing a key big guy in Josh Lucane. Does Duke get another cover here? They squeaked one out yesterday against Army. What do you think?
Campbell, tough team to prepare for. I'm not sure how much Coach K has looked ahead. Like if they did a multi-day advance prep.
Very detailed game plans.
That's right. Oh, stop it! Come on, not in his farewell tour. But let's hold straw criticism until when he's finally, off in the sunset, wherever he's going to have his lovely retirement experience. It's just a tough team to prepare for. They run a lot of intricate stuff. They're confusing. I think no Lucane matters. So he's one of my favorite players in that conference. So makes me weary of taking Campbell. Still very impressed when I saw Duke opening night. I don't want to get ahead of that steam. They're a little bit lackadaisical against Army, but no appetite to play their side here.
Yeah, I would lean towards Duke. The scary thing for me is that Campbell has that like very backdoor, intricate kind of defense or offense, and Duke's athleticism could be a little bit negated by that, but we'll see. 3 more, then we will close it out. Hofstra at Duquesne. Kai, you were on Hofstra in game 1 and nearly got an outright win at Houston. What do you think here heading to the Dukes?
So Jalen Ray was out for that game against Houston.
And they still nearly won.
And Hofstra almost beat them. I don't know what you take away from that result. Is Hofstra just really, really well coached now under Speedy Claxton? Maybe. Did Houston just kind of lay an egg? Also possible. I'm willing to bet Duquesne probably takes this one. I liked it at -3. I'm not going to take the hook, -3.5. But Keith D'Ambro, he really is a very, very good coach. And without Jalen Ray again, I don't think Hofstra lightning strikes twice here. So I'm leaning towards the Dukes here.
I'm on the Dukes as well. That's all I have.
Thanks, Matt.
I was very impressed by Hofstra in that first game. So I stayed away, but I wish you boys luck. Kai, another one that we have discussed, 82 Atlantic, talking about Butler. They're hosting Troy. Butler's been bad. They did not getting the cover yesterday, but it was a big time fork late in the game where they put a run late. Do you think Troy can hang around? It's a pretty low number, only 13.5.
I think they can hang around. I don't think you can bet Butler without Aaron Thompson. Yeah, because they've proven that he's worth like 10 points. It's actually ridiculous that they're so bad without him in the lineup. So I'm not eager to bet on Butler at all in this game.
Yeah, I don't know what Butler is at this point. Injuries have decimated that entire roster continuity. It's just like that's a team where they come from the slate. I get tired of trying to figure out who's playing, who's not playing, what shape, what form they're in. I just move on. That's where I'm at with Butler.
All right, last one from Michael Nardone. St. Peter's at St. John's, a really weird stylistic clash here. I have no idea what to do with this one, Matt. I think maybe if St. Peter's can slow it down and make it a half-court game, then John's is in trouble, but I honestly don't know what's going on.
They kind of did last year, Jim. They almost beat them. The Peacocks did. I am on St. Pete here for small. I'm worried that St. John's could be a sleeping giant. Tough to learn a lot about beating Mississippi Valley State by 1 million in the first game, but we do like the St. John's team. I just think it's a big spread for a team that has a lot of athletes and can defend and can make this game a lot uglier than it needs to be for a large favorite to cover the number. So I like the Peacocks small.
Yep. All right, let's go to best bets. I've got two. One game I hinted at earlier we were going to discuss. Central Michigan at DePaul. I'm on Central Michigan plus 13.5. I think DePaul, they were up by 1 against Coppin State at halftime. I think DePaul is a big favorite. It's going to be an issue. Their point guards, I still don't think are cleared. Jalen Terry and Ahmad Bynum. Without that, their offense is going to have issues. And guys, this is an Oscar Lopez revenge game. Transfer from DePaul. He's at Central Michigan. Watch out. So that's one, Central Michigan plus 13.5. And the other is Charleston -8. I think they're going to destroy Loyola Maryland. This is not that much worse than Pat Kelsey's team at Winthrop last year. This Charleston team rocks. I think they win by double digits. So those are my two best bets.
Have you watched Oscar Lopez play?
Yeah, he's goofy.
He looks terrible.
He's goofy. Goofy's probably putting it kindly.
Scored like 10 points against Mizzou, but I was like, I can't figure out why he's a D1 player. All right.
I have some good news for you.
Yes.
There's no Tut, no Robinson, no Ferrarini in the Omaha lineup.
So hope you guys got those bets in. Oh, I also hope Ball State doesn't crap the bed because they do that quite a bit. So don't feel too confident in that bet if you got it in.
Yeah, maybe it was a blessing in disguise. We revealed that so late. But Kai, we will still count that for your best bet. It's still on the board.
Yep.
My two, I threw on from the hip with Davidson plus 6.5 early in the show, and Miami U laying 3 against their nearby sort of rival in state there. So go Canes. It's all about the U, and go Silver Fox and Davidson. That's our best bets. Thank you for joining, folks. We'll be back. We're off tomorrow. We'll be back at our normal time, I should say in quotations. We're trying to get into a consistent cadence here. Noon Central, 1 Eastern on Monday. Again, subscribe to the show or stay around. Plenty of great programming on Field 68. We're just one of many, probably the undercard to the headliners that they have here. So just trying to do our part. Stick around, tune in. Until that time, see you Monday.